Hey, what up? There's no gameplay spoilers till like 5 minutes in, so if you haven't played the game yet and you don't mind seeing trailer footage, you can watch this. I love Breath of the Wild. I think I've made that very clear at this point. The atmosphere, the sheer level of freedom, all the weird ways you can interact with the world, Kilton. I love it. I love all of it. Playing Breath of the Wild in 2017 and feeling my child brain melt at the scale of it all is one of my fondest memories playing a game. It's very, 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 very good. So, when Nintendo burst onto the scene in 2019 and went, "Hey guys, check out our E3 2019 Direct presentation. We got Banjo-Kazooie and Smash Bros, and Animal Crossing, and a game based on the Dark Crystal." For some reason. And, what's this? You can bet your youngest child I screamed the entire place down. It's creepy and weird, and there's an evil mummy man, and the music's going. Give it to me. Give it to me now. That was 4 years ago. I've been holding out my grubby mitts for 4 years. And it turns out, sustaining that level of hype for 4 long, miserable years is quite hard.
Unfortunately, we don't have anything to share right now.
You fucking bastards!
本作は2022年に発売を予定しているとお伝えしていましたが、開発にもう
Yeah, that was cool. No, I'm telling you, they're making a new Professor Layton game. I can't believe it. No, you know who Professor Layton is. Everyone knows who Professor Layton is. He's the guy with the top hat and he really likes puzzles. He'd probably vote for the Tory party.
By the time March 2023 rolled around, all of that initial hype from these 2 trailers had completely washed away, and all I was left with was the sinking dread that, oh god, it's the same map again, they've barely added anything, it's gonna be bad, oh my god, it's gonna be so bad! As much as I loved Breath of the Wild, I loved it because exploring that map was so fun. A map I had never seen before, a map that was full of stuff that was completely new to me. This is the same map with some stuff glued on the top. Like, cool, sky islands are cool, hot air balloons are cool, but it's still the same map. Castle here, desert here, volcano here, criminally underutilized jungle here. I know this map. I just re-explored this map 2 weeks ago. How are you going to make a game about discovery interesting when I've already discovered all the things? Multiple times. You can glue a stick to another stick to make a really long stick. We're back in business. You can make loads of weird weapons out of stuff you find lying on the ground. You can get a giant boulder and go nicking that. You can glue some logs together, put some fans on the back, and now you got a boat. You don't see Red Dead 2 doing that shit. You can shoot through the ceiling. You can rewind time. There's caves. There's little robot guys to fight. You can jump off the battle bus and do a Fortnite dive. And here's where the last 4 years of hype, dwindling hype, more hype, loss of faith, back to a first-class ticket for the hype train, finally reached its climax. This is the best trailer ever made for a video game. Holy shit! I could just sit here and review this instead. I could talk about this thing for 20 minutes. It's a masterpiece of editing and music composition, and the single most times I've done this face while watching a piece of media. I cackled, I cried, I fist pumped the air. I rewatched it at least 10 times over the next month, and every single time I noticed something new. So map might be boring. Sorry, have you seen the bit where you fight a little robot while riding a minecart? Or the bit with a massive ice dragon? Or the bit where you do a fucking mech battle? Give it to me. Give it to me now. Finally, popping this thing into my Switch felt like breaking a natural law. Booting it up felt sacrilegious. Seeing Nintendo Presents on my screen after 4 long years of twiddling my thumbs, waiting for the geezers over in Kyoto to finally deliver the goods, felt like Christmas morning. And I'm very pleased to report. It's another massive helping of Breath of the Wild with all the trimmings. There's still that same wonderful atmosphere, the attention to detail is through the roof, they've gone and put every other open world game to shame with the interactivity of the world. Almost every problem with the original has been fixed or improved to some degree or another. It's great! It's really great! Editor's Choice, 96 on Metacritic, 4 stars from Eurogamer with the worst comment section I think I've ever seen. But you already, know all that, right? You know it's good. The second you saw the words, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is now in development, you already locked it in as Game of the Year. You've probably already played it. You've probably already finished it. Sorry this video took so long. I don't really have a lot more to add to this conversation, other than my own experience. So, my own experience was 50 hours of me cackling like an insane person. Gameplay spoilers start now. If you haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet, go play it. No fucking way. Oh, that's awesome. Holy shit. Holy shit. No way. No way. No fucking way. Look at these funny little guys. Pirates? Pirates? Oh my god, you're kidding me. Whoa, what the fuck? I'm not even gonna question that. It just kept going and going and going, a never-ending stream of new ideas and fresh spins on old ones, one after the other after the other. Here's some cannons that shoot you into the sky. Here's a boatload of insanely creative tools at your disposal. Here's a boat. A pirate one. Here's a giant hole in the ground that takes you into hell itself where you can't see anything. And there's a bunch of Yiga bases and boss fights and a giant frog and some glow-in-the-dark tracky bottoms. There's dungeons, real dungeons with loads of build-up and platforming and atmosphere and puzzles and boss fights that have some really cool, unique designs. But then it just keeps going more and more and more. Every time I sit down to play for an hour or so, I get blindsided yet again by some insane off-the-wall idea. 50 hours in, and they're still pulling out weird, wacky shit out of their endless box of tricks. I'm still spotting things in the distance and going, no fucking way. Or finding new ways to use the building system. Or stumbling across Kilton. He's in the game, and Kilton has a brother, and he's even more deranged. I love him. Where do I even start with this? There's so much to talk about. It's like sensory overload. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. Building. Let's do building. I did not have it on my bingo card that the Breath of the Wild sequel, you know, the game about climbing mountains, riding a horse across a big field, making a little campfire to wait out the rain, would have a feature where you can make a spinning death contraption out of some wheels, some logs, and some lasers. Climbing? Who cares about climbing? Climbing's for babies. The real men build a hover bike and just sail right over that shit. A horde of enemies? You know, I could just hit them. Or I could, you know, set up some artillery. Horse? Who wants a horse? We're in the modern age now. Introducing my 2005 Ford Focus. Oh, excuse me. Sir, can you... Oh, thank you. Oh, never mind, mate. Got a new one. Here's a tree. Now oh, fuck! Here's a tree. Now, in Breath of the Wild, I could chop this down to get some wood, or a big leaf. Then I could use the wood to make a campfire, or the leaf to gust a funny fella into a big pit. Now, in Tears of the Kingdom, I could chop this down to make a car, make a boat, make a bike, make a hot air balloon, make a little shed to spend the night in. I could put some wheels on the side, a balancer and a steering stick on the top, then cover the whole front in spears I found lying around, and now I've got a portable punji pit. I do not know what went through the minds of the people who thought up this system, saw the hellish amount of work it would be to implement it, and then said fuck it and did it anyway, but I do not envy them. I do not envy anyone in the gaming industry making an open world video game right now who now has to compete with the Zelda game that is also Gmod. They've only just barely caught up to climbing. It's gonna be 15 years before they catch up to this. I can't count the amount of times I've gone, they wouldn't let me do that insane idea, surely not. And then they do, and it works, and it's fucking incredible. Let's stack 10 gliders on top of each other, surely that won't work. Let's make a unicycle out of one wheel, a balance thing, and a steering stick, surely that won't work. Let's attach a cannon to the back of my sand glider and then harass a Molduga so that when it leaps up in the air, it shoots it. Come on. Come on. Yes! There are a near infinite number of games out there that have building in, that let you create your own vehicles, that let your imagination run wild. But I've never seen one that actively prods you to push the systems as far as they go, like this. Every new tool you're given just starts your mind racing through all the weird shit you can do with it, before the game hands you a shrine or an auto-build template that goes, hey, what about this? With a sly grin, knowing that they've just started the cogs turning once again. It's such a good system, I love it. And that's before I even mention the gluing a stick to another stick thing. One too many people said weapon breaking sucks one too many times, and the development team finally snapped. Here you go, you horrible little troglodytes that said our combat system was annoying and got in the way. Here's a system where you have to build your own weapon using whatever shit you find lying around on the ground, with the clunkiest interface possible. Also, they still break! I cannot imagine anyone who had a bad time with this would remotely enjoy the controller gymnastics you have to pull off with this. However, if you're like me, and you actually liked weapon breaking for some reason, then hell yeah, come to daddy, time to make the most deranged set of weapons known to mankind. Bouncy stick, cheese stick, spiky ball stick. Here's a stick with a beehive stuck to it that spawns a bunch of bees whenever I swing it. Here's a stick with a rocket on the end of it. Here's a stick with an explosive barrel on the end. Here's a shield that goes bedoing. Here's a shield that reflects the full power of the sun at a bokoblin and blinds him for life. Here's a shield with an explosive barrel on the end. Is this system an improvement on the things that sucked about weapon breaking? No. Is this system an improvement on the things that were great about weapon breaking? Hell yeah! You've still got all the different ways you can use the environment to your advantage. You can still piss about with gusters and explosive barrels, flurry rushes still feel amazing to pull off, but on top of all of that, you now have the most wonderful combat sandbox ever made. Just pure, unhinged chaos at every turn. Every new mechanic added to the stew just serves to crank up the madness to ridiculous heights. When you walk into an enemy base, the question isn't, how am I gonna kill all these funny fellas? It's, how am I gonna kill these funny fellas in the funniest way possible? Simple. An army of Roombas equipped with cannons. Go, my pretties! Kill them all! Murder every last one! Hey guys, check out my cool pirate ship! Oh fuck! I made a tank. Here's a hot take. I don't really like the Sky Islands that much. They're the thing on the box, they're the thing that was most advertised about the game, they're meant to be the highlight, but compared to all of this, they're just a bit underwhelming. They're still fun. Getting up there is fun, playing around with the different mechanics they hand you is fun, just being on a floating island in the sky is inherently fun. There's ones with low gravity, there's diving challenges, there's boss fights against giant robots that look like one of these. The 2 dungeons that take place up here are amazing, not just the dungeons themselves, but the massive sprawling platforming challenges you have to do to get up to them. The hike to the Wind Temple specifically is never ending, it just keeps going, higher and higher, it's overwhelming in the best way possible. I just wish that the rest of them gave me that feeling, or even approached a feeling of awe or wonder. So many of them are just a short little platforming challenge, or a building challenge, or a deliver a rock to a shrine challenge, with the exact same island types repeated over and over and over again. I was eyeing this island for ages. It towers over everything else, it's got a really unique design, and it's really tricky to get to, so I thought, logically, there must be something really cool there. And then I finally go there, and it's just another diving challenge, but this time, instead of passing through some rings, you have to dodge some lasers. And that's it! Cool! The best island out of the whole lot is easily the opening one, because it's massive and lasts like 3 hours, and it's one of the only ones that feels like a place, and not just an excuse to show me what a rocket is. It does feel like a missed opportunity to not expand these more, have more ruins, have some big buildings and places to stumble across. Can you imagine a whole ghost town from old Hyrule that you could walk through? That would be amazing. These are chunks of an old world floating in the sky. So why don't you, I don't know, show me some of that world? Thunderhead Isles does, and it's so good at doing it. It's one of the most memorable parts of the game for me. It's still a platforming challenge at the end of the day. It's still about moving from here to here, but it doesn't feel like one. I'm just exploring this cool place. I'm soaking in the scenery, and in the process, I'm also solving a puzzle, or fighting a guy, or moving from A to B. What really sells it though is that atmosphere and music. Oh. The rain gently falling as a storm cloud brews overhead, while Piano Man and his new pal, slightly eerie oboe, whisk you off into another level of serenity. The atmosphere is so thick, you have to stop every once in a while to just take it all in. And speaking of which, I've got to talk about the music and the sound design. Oh! I was already of the opinion that Breath of the Wild has a good soundtrack, actually, but it is a little tame, a little reserved. Most of the time, it's just a guy on a piano. I understand why people don't like it, even if I do. Tears of the Kingdom's soundtrack, though? I don't know how anyone could hate this. And I know they're out there. There's people, there's hobgoblins that still think it sucks. And I've gotta ask. Sir, what is wrong with you? The Sky theme. Oh. Divine, gorgeous, love it. Lookout Landing? Now that's a town theme. The marching drums, the horns, that beautiful fucking flute. Oh, it's so good. All of the dungeons have absolutely brilliant themes. Sometimes haunting, sometimes melancholic, sometimes a bop, sometimes all three at once. But the build up to the Wind Temple though? Talk about building tension and setting the scene. You're 5,000 feet up in the air, it's freezing cold, you're right next to a tornado, and the music's selling all of that, but it's also driving you to keep pushing on. The higher you go, the more dense it gets, until you get to the tippy top, dive in, and it all unleashes at once. But the music doesn't even hold a candle to the sound design. This shit is like having liquid gold poured directly into your ear canal. Listen to this wind. Listen to this cave. Listen to that grass. Breath of the Wild already sounded wonderful, one of the nicest sounding games in recent memory. But once again, Tears of the Kingdom though. It's obscene how good this game sounds. It's like a buffet for the ears. What's next? Caves. Oh, I gotta talk about the caves. I am a sucker for caves in anything. Any piece of media. Best part of Minecraft is the caves. Best part of Nausicaa is the caves. Best Gorillaz song is the one about some fellas mining in a cave. Now, if we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom caves, on a scale of No Man's Sky caves to the Rabbit Burrow in Peppa Pig, we're on the higher end of the spectrum. These are pretty cool. The best ones are these massive, sprawling labyrinths that just keep going and going. There's one under Lookout Landing that takes you from here to here, with loads of boulders to smash, there's a boss fight down here, and it all connects to Hyrule Castle by the end. It's so cool. The bunker underneath Gerudo Town is amazing. So many wonderful little touches, especially the waterworks. I love that. There's loads of caves that connect rivers together through mountains, which never failed to make me cackle as I realized where it just spat me out. There's this one under one of the mazes, there's all of these awesome lava ones near Death Mountain, there's these cool ice ones. I love them, they're so good. But these caves aren't even the coolest kind of cave in this cave-themed video game, because lo and behold, Nintendo hid the biggest cave of them all up its sleeves the entire time. Jump into a massive pit, listen for the horn. Welcome to hell, enjoy your stay. It's pitch black, half of the surface area is covered in slime, getting hit by an enemy decreases your max number of hearts. It's the caves on steroids and I love it. One of the best parts of Breath of the Wild was this bit, a 20-minute little puzzle where you roam around in the darkness and try and find a shrine. This is that bit for a whole map, and lo and behold, it's one of the best parts of the game. I can imagine a lot of you are now looking at your phone screens, or computer screens, or fridge screen in horror. What kind of take is that? This bit? The best bit? Are you insane? This bit fucking sucks! There isn't a whole lot down here. There's some mines, some Yiga bases, some light roots, and that's it. The entire map basically looks the same. You get the odd bit of water every now and again, or lava, but other than that, it's Play-Doh green as far as the eye can see. Which admittedly isn't very far. The gameplay consists of constantly having to shoot another arrow with a bulb on the end so you can see where you're going, or building a shitty little car to get you across some slime that's gonna get stuck on a rock in 40 seconds anyway, so then you have to get off it and move it off the rock, and then you get back on and it's out of battery now, so I now have to walk anyway, so why didn't I just walk in the first place? Compared to everything that's happening upstairs, This is boring. But I like boring things. I like doing the dishes. I like organizing folders. I like season 2 of Twin Peaks. My favorite parts of Breath of the Wild weren't the massive set pieces or the boss fights or the towns. It was like walking through a field. I agree that this is kind of terribly designed. I agree that this could be so much more interesting than it actually is. I understand why most people think this is shit. But I don't. The atmosphere, the turn your brain off, climb a mountain for 2 minutes gameplay, the little hits of dopamine as you piece by piece fill in more of the map. These little camps where you get to hoover up all the Zonite, love it. The Yiga bases and the bizarre vehicles that they drive around, love it. The music, oh, I love it. The moment where it finally clicked that the depths was a 1-for-1 inverted version of the overworld, where mountains become valleys, rivers become blockades, shrines and light routes share places. Love it. For a game that's so often maximalist to the extreme, this is a quiet little respite from all that. Waddle around for a bit, stumble across something cool, light up a few more light routes and cash in some Zonite for a battery upgrade. It's cozy, which is weird to say about hell, like literal hell, but that's how it feels. Quickfire round, cooking is better. The shrines are a little bit better. The dungeons are way better. The cutscenes still have the anime dub problem.
I look forward to your future endeavors. You may leave.
And the localization is still god-awful.
But your secret stone seems to amplify your time power.
Time power.
And I still don't really like the memories format that much.
Just think of it like...
But other than that, they're better. The villain is actually charismatic and hateable, and not just a pig. There's still a Korok dotting every mountain, but if you despise the little buggers, you can now pick them up and drop them in a pit. Bye-bye. These cannons, I love them. They're brilliant. If Assassin's Creed had cannons in it instead of tall buildings to climb, I would play all of them. House building? Fucking sucks. This guy? I want to kill him. The exact same 3-minute long cutscene repeated 4 separate times that you don't want to skip just in case this is the one where they finally show you something new, but they never do and it's just the same fucking cutscene repeated 4 separate times! Could have done without that. This isn't a perfect game, far from it. There's a hell of a lot of downtime towards the end, there's a hell of a lot of filler, the Sky Islands are a bit shit. But Breath of the Wild wasn't perfect either. There's a hell of a lot of downtime in that game. There's a hell of a lot of filler. The cutscenes suck. Did I care though? No. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's so vast and beautiful and it hits me in a kind of way that it, and only it, and maybe Elden Ring as well, has ever managed to do. No other game has ever managed to recapture the feeling of gliding off of the Great Plateau for the first time, wandering into Kakariko Village while it was pissing it down with rain, wandering across a bridge and realizing that I was completely and utterly lost. All I really wanted Tears of the Kingdom to do, outside of, you know, be good, be fun, release before I was 40, was to make me feel like Breath of the Wild did. Again. And I'm very pleased to report that it did. Over and over and over again. The very first dive. The other very first dive. The first time I got launched from a cannon. My first car. My first cave. Cruising up the Gerudo Canyon's newly installed water feature on a jet ski. Wandering into Kakariko Village and seeing it surrounded by ruins. Sitting on a sky island and just peering over the edge. The final boss? I'm not gonna show it, but if you know, you know. Every single moment combined of me building the most deranged vehicle possible, hopping on, and having it work. This fucking... Give it a minute. Bit. This bit. But there was one moment that I've been saving till last. It's this pit. I was in the sky, I just catapulted myself off of an island, when I spotted a big hole far below. So, as any sane individual would do, I beelined towards it, dove in, and I landed in some sort of building with a lift. Or an elevator, if you're American. By this point, I was about 20 hours in. I'd barely touched the depths. I think I'd turned on like 3 light routes and seen 1 mine or something, so I had no clue what this could be. Could be another mine, could be a dungeon, could be an Aldi, who knows. Then I stumble across a minecart track and a minecart. So, as any sane individual would do, I hop in, give it a good whack, and away I go, into the abyss. I can't see shit, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know how long this track is, or if this tunnel is going to deposit me into a fiery pit filled with lava, but I'm sitting there, glued to the screen, completely entranced by what I'd accidentally stumbled into. I end up in what looks like an ancient tube station, with lifts taking you higher up. At the very top, there's a statue you can talk to, who tells you to fuck off and go find his quest objective. And higher up still, there's an out-of-nowhere boss fight against Master Koga, this guy, the other best character in Breath of the Wild, who famously fell down a big hole and died. This is one of my favorite boss fights ever, period, because it's shit, and it knows it's shit. He's coming at you in a forklift that goes 2 miles per hour, and the entire time the music's going 100 times harder than it has any right to. It's the hardest I have ever laughed at a video game. For the entire length of this fight, I was losing it. It's so good. Breath of the Wild means a lot to me. And with Tears of the Kingdom taking as long as it did, it sure had a lot to live up to. These games are a fucking rarity. You've gotta treasure them. The next one we get is probably gonna be when I'm in my late 20s, and I just don't want to think about that. If this isn't good, if this isn't what I want it to be, then I'm gonna be very miffed. And for a while, I wasn't sure. But then I played the most wonderful 20 minutes of a video game I think I've ever played. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? This is pretty good. One moment I'm high up in the sky, the next I'm far below the earth. One moment I'm riding a minecart that I glued together out of scotch tape. The next I'm in a build battle with a corpse. One moment I'm tense, immersed, and filled with the kind of awe that makes the brain light up like a Christmas tree. And the next, I'm cackling like a lunatic at a guy charging at me in a forklift. And the entire time, I'm realizing that, holy shit, they did it again.